Ended up, we're talking rules for radicals here on the video side. It just kicked in. He knew these rules. Somebody on his team, or him, could have been him, read the rules for radicals. And they said, you know what, we're going to go and we're going to use these rules. And that's one of the things we have. They're very dangerous to use because it causes a lot of angst, especially against the other side who's always used them. And they don't like to have the tables turned on them. So I always used to run into these rules. What's some of the history behind them? 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago, there was a riot. And one of the community organizers then, Saul Alinsky, said, hey, we cannot act this way. We cannot have these riots. We cannot have anything like that. What we need to do is go out there and we need to come up with a system. And I'm going to write a book with a system that eventually became Rules for Radicals and ended up affecting change, but it was long-term change, very slow change, not what we're seeing today. I think today everything's all sped up because of social media and other mass media stuff that came out since '96. G. Gordon Liddy, who I knew, I was an associate. I'd always run into him at events and things of that nature, political events. In his book, Will, which I have autographed right over there, that was his autobiography, he details that Watergate was in part done because of fear of radicals, because in 1968 Democratic National Convention, they were in fear of radicals. And so Watergate was in part because went on in 1968, and also what happened with another personality than Timothy Leary, and that's one of the reasons why they had that. Now that's in the book, and he also told me that personally on that. So you're got as close to primary sources as you're going to get on that with me. Now, what are the rules for radicals? And we're going to do a share screen here. And right, safety rules for radicals, right? And it's I subtitle this, right, challenges for safety professionals, but it's also, how do I manage a work crew or person who's working against me? That happens all the time. We had that conversation in the class today. And let's see how this is looking on OneStream. In the outreach class, the outreach training class, how do we manage people that are working against us? And let's see here. Should have put this in photos, maybe. All right. How do I manage people working against me? That's what the idea is with this. Okay, that's better. You never know until you get in here. All right. So people, you're going to say, well, are people really working against you? No. Well, we have to go, not really. People have their own self-interest, their own incentives for the reason why they do that. I know that there are people out there that say, how do we screw over safety today? Especially if they feel that you made their job a little harder. That does happen. And if I was going to say, that didn't happen, I'd be lying. So corporate stewardship, that's why safety people are hired. They were told to do that. They have a contract requirement. Some kind of regulatory burden, insurance burden, require a full-time safety person or a part-time safety person. Insurance issues, a visit from OSHA or other regulatory situation, or a catastrophic incident, or a high accident rate. And so, for example, companies must do it. And what we find out, and all different things. So, for example, if you're running your total recordable incident rate too high, you're not allowed to go on certain contracts, bid on certain work. But what I find out is safety issues are human resource issues that HR will not manage. Now, should HR be managing safety? That's not what I'm saying. That's usually a disaster situation. But often what happens, HR will not manage their people. Now, you're going to say, well, Jim, that doesn't seem very fair. Okay, well, it doesn't seem very fair. Whatever, right? Uh, you know, uh, I don't get it. You know, they're human resource people. They should be managing their people, but they don't sometimes. So, what also happens is, right? Right. Won't manage their people. Criticisms, right? It's an us. The criticisms of what we're discussing, us versus them mentality. Sometimes that's what we walk into. There's an us versus them. We're not going to follow what safety does. That could be for a lot of reasons. One, we are not right. Negative. They can be used negatively, positive, knowing what you're up against, right? What? So let me back up here. I'm a little bit discombobulated tonight. The You walk into a situation, they don't want to listen to you. Why don't they want to listen to you? You're not the one who makes the hiring decisions, the firing decisions, the discipline. You cannot affect change. Can't do anything. Sometimes the expectation is that that's what you're going to do. And often what I get into was the guy who I'm following behind, usually a guy, sometimes a woman, not very often in this situation. You walk in and they were ineffective. They gave up. And they said, you know what? We're going to make this guy give up too. So we're going to aggravate the hell out of him. So he's not telling us what to do, whatever. And you get this mentality. And it's usually driven by management behind your back or a foreman behind your back who is the lowest level manager there is. And that's what ends up happening. It's very difficult. So what are you up against? Rule number one, you got to remember this. Power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. And I'm saying enemy, it could be coworker. That's what they think you have. If they think you have no power, no authority, guess what? They ain't going to listen to you. This works the converse also. What power do you think they have? Do they have a lot of power in the workplace? No power in the workplace? It's all a bunch of baloney. What's the story here? How does this manifest itself? I have worked here a long time. I am, and you can insert your favorite relationship or association. I'm the owner's brother's best friend's mother's cousin. Oh yeah, and it gets out there. I've been here a long time. Leave me alone and don't rock the boat. That was unfortunately what I was always on. Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. You're going to make trouble. But what happens is they take advantage of you, and you are responsible for this stuff. And you cannot do your job. And what ends up also happening, you later find out that a lot of people in management had your back. You didn't know about it. They couldn't tell you. But you also find out that the person is usually full of it. They hire you to get rid of that guy. I know we had one during COVID. We had one of our projects, 100% mask policy. You came onto the job, you got out of the car, you put on a mask. Or then it was you go in the building to work, you put on a mask. We had one guy refuse to do it. Why? You can't tell me what to do. I'm not wearing a mask. Well, no. And then they got into they see you coming, they make a signal that you are coming, and everybody put on their mask. Then you pass. They take them off, stick their tongue out at you, and then 10 minutes later, you get a phone call. No one's wearing their mask. Go through again. right? And it's like you have an 800,000 square foot footprint of a building. You can't be everywhere. So what ended up happening? What ended up happening with this guy? Somebody in management put up a camera and took a picture of him not wearing his mask. We ended up having he ended up being removed by his employer, and his employer said, okay, where am I going next? They said, no, you don't get it. You jeopardized somebody's job for the last month and a half and were harassing people, and just by some coincidence, whenever he was coming, people were giving the rebel yell. We're not talking the Billy Idol song from the early 1980s, right? We're talking the old-fashioned rebel yell from the Civil War that is often associated with the Ku Klux Klan. That was you can't tell me what to do. Well, we did. You're fired, and you can't kind of elect unemployment. You got the penalty on that. Lost his job over the mask. And on the way out, he says, I can't believe I lost a job over the mask. And he looks at me, and I said, your job or my job? This is what the rules were. This is what the hard rules were. Well, I'm going to get you, and everybody shuts up. What's my point on here? No, not that I'm a dick when it comes to safety. But what it is the guy thought that he had power that I thought I had no power, and he thought he had more power than me, and he didn't. It's a power issue. So, yeah, we had to. That's what the rules were. And it was along the lines of, Jim, your company is going to get thrown off the job if you don't enforce the rules. That's the context that I had to deal with. And by the way, he was the only one that we had problems with. So I don't know. Never go outside the expertise of your people, and whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy. So what this is they give you non sequiturs. That's one way it could manifest itself. So they tell you, you want to, the classic thing is it's an old fashioned game of distraction. So if you are in a meeting about a safety issue with someone, expect the Chewbacca defense, where they're going to go and they're going to give you everything else. They're going to confuse everybody. What's the Chewbacca defense? From Chef Aid, 1998, South Park. It's a strategy where a criminal defense attorney tries to confuse the jury rather than refute the case of the prosecutor. It's an intentional distraction or obfuscation. So what ends up happening is they give you the story here where, were you wearing safety glasses? Why would I wear safety glasses? We're not doing nothing with no eye hazards. We know it's the rules were in the safety glasses. Well, I think it's a dumb rule for that. And plus, you should be worried about what's going on with Frank up on the third floor because he's not doing anything right. And you find out that there was nobody named Frank on the third floor. Then they start doing everything else to try to distract you and refute the case. No, I don't. Why would I wear those ugly safety glasses? I can't see out of the safety glasses. I don't look cool in the safety glasses. Every excuse in the world. Well, why they're not wearing safety glasses? Fact of the matter is, the last person that they did pull this on just backed down and did not force the issue. Here, all right. I got a cat who misses my wife, and he's playing with me while I'm on the air. Make the enemy live up to his own book of rules. Now, we mentioned the masks during COVID, safety glasses. If you're not wearing safety glasses, you're not wearing PPE. They're not gonna listen to you. They're gonna remind you of it. Make the enemy live up to his own book of rules. The same thing with fall protection. When there are jobs I'm on where managers feel they don't have to wear any fall protection. You point it out to them. Guess what? The manager throws it into your face. The worker throws it in your face. Hey, if he doesn't have to do it, I don't have to do it. Now, there's a corollary to this. Don't make up a rule you can't enforce or don't plan to follow yourself. Rule 5, ridicule is man's most potent weapon. There's really no defense against that unless you don't take yourself too seriously. You don't get upset. That brings out more. Get the leadership on board with safety. When the workforce leadership likes you, this usually stops when you have their support. The other thing is that there are uh, resources on the internet that help you go out there and how do I argue? What do I use? And they're coaching. And so you get pushback. Someone argues with you, someone insults you. There's other stuff that you could say to deflate the situation and to deflate them with it. I'm going to tell you, just because someone is college educated doesn't, or is highly educated, senior level management, doesn't mean that they're not going to ridicule you at times. And you got to be ready for it. So figure out what you're going to do. Rules 6 and 7. A good tactic is one your people enjoy. A tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. So if your people, if they love doing something, you can expect more of it. Way it is. Now, on the other hand, how do we, when we're managing people with safety, if your workforce enjoys enjoys stuff, then you go out there and you continue to do it. Now, so basically that comes down to this. So, for example, let's say every Friday afternoon they like to stop at 2:00 and do some safety training, and it's legitimate training, and they enjoy doing it. Well, then maybe you want to do more of it. Friday after, maybe they like a little incentive. Maybe they like safety pins, and I'm not talking the Cooperstown All-Star Village pins, right? Or the real big pins, right, for baseball. And some other tournaments have them also. The other one, not All-Star Village, was Legends Field, I think. Anyway, the other facility up there in Cooperstown for kids baseball. That may be a thing. They may like a pin. They may, in our parody commercial for the game show, they may like a travel mug every once in a while. Talking with them, maybe, just figure out what makes them tick, and they're going to do it. Now, the same thing is this, and it could be used against you. If people like doing things against you and they enjoy it, they expect it again. If you can't come up with a response to it, just let it go. However, I'm going to caution people from the first time that I did this presentation in 2021 to now, you continue to do that, there's a good chance you're going to get fired. Continuously harassing people. Just the way it is. Learn an activity the workforce enjoys. It's easy to do. Hopefully it's cheap and gives results. The opposite gives the opposite results. Nothing is more of a drag than using an old safety program that doesn't work, is stale, or the workforce cannot relate to. No, that's what happens, where okay, it's Wednesday again. We're going to do the same thing. Everybody has a travel mug. Everybody has mix things up. Come on with a new incentive program. The Bayway Refinery, if you're a listener there and you're working there, they have, I think they still have the contractor, the Safety Hero Awards with the good parking spots. I was the one who came up with that idea. There. Cheap. It was cheap. No minimal amount of effort. Rule 8, keep the pressure on. Once they realize that something bothers you or have to throw a monkey wrench into the situation, they're going to continue to do it. They're going to keep that pressure on. And there's multiple ways of doing that. They'll find a weak spot, so they will focus on it. Being successful and filling in the gaps to your knowledge is one way you can get them on your side, right? With that, preferably with their help. Leadership, we're going to talk about that next program. Include everybody else in the discussion as a subject matter expert. Pull them in, involve people. If people are involved in a policy, if people are involved with what you're doing, if you're showing an interest in what they're doing, meaning a learning team, even if it's an informal one, guess what? You're going to try to get them on your side here a little bit better. Rule number 9, the threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Your imagination is your own worst enemy. Don't let your imagination run wild. So, they make a threat to you. Well, you're going to do this or else. Or else. This is going to happen or else. You say, okay, I'll take the or else. The other thing is, if you threaten someone, you say or else, you better give them the or else. Way it is. If you don't give them the or else, no, that runs into two problems. First problem is that you're going to look bad. You're going to lose credibility. The second thing is, OSHA has a progressive disciplinary policy that they support, or companies have with their employees. So, for example, first one is a verbal. Second one is a written write-up. Third time, you're out the door or suspended or something. 1, 2, 3, bing, bing, bing. Right? Right? And they support that. And that works to the employer's advantage usually when litigation or dealing with OSHA or other regulatory agencies too. The other thing is this. If someone threatens you, usually the thing that they threaten you with isn't that bad, and they're not willing to go through with it. So if someone threatens you, I had a guy threaten me last week. I'm going to talk to the lead safety person about that, blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you want that person's phone number? I tell you, why don't we talk to him together? How's that? Well, I can't. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Again, it's not, you have to figure out a way of saying non-confrontationally. You don't want to confront people. You don't want to add fuel to the fire. You don't want to start arguments. But so, I'm going to okay, well, I'm going to tell your boss, okay, here's the phone. Talk to my boss. Talk to the owner. Want to talk to the owner? Okay, call him on it. Your imagination is your own worst enemy. The threat is worse than the thing. This is what I was dealing with my son with this about a month ago. Someone threatened him in this situation. Okay, well, okay. And he's all upset. I said, it's the worst. What's the worst thing that could happen? Oh, well, I said, well, is that so bad? Don't be afraid, because people use that against you. Rule number 10, the major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain constant pressure on the opposition. Again, they're going to try different things and to figure out what happens with you. This one is, what is the thing? All problem issues come the same day. When I worked corporate, and it'll be 20 years since I left corporate, that is what happened. All problem issues come to you on the same day. Usually a Friday, so you can work all weekend. So resolving those issues, especially if you're on salary, not an hourly employee. Again, that's one way. Contact you on days off for non-urgent issues. That happens all the time. Even as a consultant, that happens. Your question is, can this wait till Monday? Or does it have to be done now? Because right now, if you think this is a non-urgent issue, why are we getting upset about this on a holiday weekend? And what it is to ruin your holiday often. I work with people. I work with people that do stuff like this. They don't do it too much anymore. Change paperwork, lose paperwork, then blame you. The advent of the smartphone has pretty much eliminated that issue, because there's a copy of everything. I keep copies of everything on the smartphone. Scan it in, photos, emails. Steal resources. I've been in places where they steal dry erase markers from the room so you can't use the whiteboard. They don't produce equipment. Hey, I'm going to need an extension cord. No, especially if you're on a plane. They don't like you bringing extension cords on the plane. Make sure I have an extension cord there so I can plug in to the nearest power outlet. You show up. There are no extension cords at the facility. That's happened to me. Why? Nobody wanted to. The management training was arranged by management off-site, the corporate office. The site manager didn't want you there, so we're gonna do general sabotage, and that's one of the things. Rule number 11: if you push a negative hard enough and deep enough, it will break through to its counter side. This is along the lines of making a negative into a positive. You got to keep a cool head. Walking away is always an option with this stuff. If you're going to keep putting pressure on someone, you have to have a solution to that. I don't like this, and this, right? I don't want to do this. I'm not following a procedure. I don't want to do this. This is a stupid rule. One of the things I hear from people. I am not keeping a calibration log with that equipment. Got to keep a calibration log for that piece of equipment. The NFPA standard says you shall keep a calibration log with that. You fall under on this project the NFPA standards. I think it's stupid. Okay, well, how do you suggest we do this? How do we suggest we do this? How do we, well, if you don't have a plan, you don't have a plan, right? So if you're going to push something, you have to come up with a different plan, which is number 12. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative, right? So you're pushing through, right? Now you're in charge, number 12. What's your alternative? Don't criticize. Don't just criticize, give a solution. Work with people. Don't work against them. Go for it, right? One of the things I do is rather than say no because, I can say, yeah, you could do that if X, Y, and Z. Let's go down the hierarchy of controls. Let's make a plan. How are we going to do this? Back in the day, I wouldn't have done that. That's what you got to do here. Rule number 13. Pick the target, freeze it, polarize it, and personalize it and polarize it. This is often what happens today. Dividing and conquering, old-fashioned bullying. I have to update this. I have to say cancel culture. I'll throw it in there. Why are you saying that during a safety thing, Jim? Yeah, because that happened. One, it's my program. Number two, cancel culture. What the young people call the Helen Keller. They don't speak to you. They don't listen to you. They don't see you. They ignore you. Right? I heard one of my son's friend. My son would never say that in front of me, at least. As a Helen, yeah. Don't listen to you. Don't speak to you. Don't see you. Don't do anything. Right? So personalize it, polarize it, all different types of psychological things to get you to do what they want. And what often with the safety professional, this is to get the safety professional off the job, to leave them alone. I don't like confrontation. I don't like well, they're going to confront you. I don't like confrontation. They're going to confront you, but that doesn't mean you run away from it. If you run away from it, you're not going to get respect. Learn how to manage it, right? With that. So how do they do that? Not including you in meetings or not telling you about meetings you should be at. That happens on one of my projects right now. How are my people supposed to be responsible for things if you don't include them in meetings that they're supposed to go to? Not giving you the correct equipment that you need. This is a great one. I need safety glasses. You're working inside an oil tank, and what do? They give you sunglasses. No lights, right? Breaking equipment that you need. That's another one. Air monitoring equipment gets broken, gets smashed, gets sabotaged. They give you an unreasonable time frame. Big huge issue is rushing an accident investigation. That's another one. Not giving you resources, time, or personnel to do a job. No professional training or development. Not giving you a scope of work for a contract. It's a big one. Colluding with others, ganging up on you. If we go back to one of the previous rules, right? All problems come to you on the same day. Colluding with others, ganging up, distracting you from your duties, and in construction, doing work that they don't tell you about. Blindsiding, probably the worst thing that you could do, especially to me. I don't like to be blindsided. And if I inadvertently blindside someone, I apologize on the spot, and I give a sincere apology because I don't like to be blindsided. I try not to blindside people. Yeah. By the way, you let them know what's coming down. Hey, look, you got to check out manage X, Y, and Z. Do what? No, usually they're appreciative on that. So changing corporate culture doesn't happen overnight, but takes years. And understanding these rules helps you manage difficult people in the situation and identifies it, which is why we're safety people, to save lives. Save lives, not to cause problems. And we are going to move into the news. We're going to do a commercial break here, a couple of commercial breaks.
You are listening to Safety Wars. Tomorrow's Safety Today.
This is going to blow your mind. There's a new daytime talk show on your local cable access station. What happens when safety, scandal, and heartbreak collide? Welcome to Safety Wars, the talk show. Today's episode is a doozy. Imagine confronting your unsafe supervisor who just happens to be your ex-wife's new hubby. Talk about a powder keg. But wait, there's more. We've got an exclusive interview with a corporate exec who's taken out life insurance policies on his riskiest workers, hoping to cash in on a deadly mishap. Yup, you heard that right. It's a real-life plot twist you can't make up. Tune in as Jim Poesl, CSP, our very own Jerry Springer of safety, dives deep into this explosive confrontation. Sparks will fly and secrets will be exposed. Catch the full episode on Safety Wars on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Don't miss out on the drama that could save your life. Like and share now, and stay safe, folks.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Poesl on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
In a world where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Poesl, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant. That's Safety Wars. Join the safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
In an unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Poesl, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast. It's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Poesl and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Poesl with Safety Wars. Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
Pardon me. Hold on. OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Poesl with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
Sorry, folks. I had to hit the cough button there. A little bit rough here. All right. Let's go into some news. This came out of North Carolina. Let's remember, North Carolina has their own OSHA. That's a state plan. A company fined $48,393 after a worker's death. A sawmill facility in Craven County received a $48,000 fine from North Carolina Department of Labor related to a March 17th workplace fatality. Labor Department cited the company with 3 serious violations after an investigation at the facility. In July, I guess they found out they were going to, I don't know if it was coincidence or it was because of this accident, they decided to close the mill on Monday, September 16th, and the loss of approximately 75 jobs. On March 17th, Robert Christopher Wood, 37, was servicing the hydraulic system of a Taylor forklift under a raised carriage or fork. Sudden loss of hydraulic pressure caused the carriage forks to fall on him, which resulted in his death. This had, I've heard this happen a lot of times. Around the corner from my nephew in Alabama, this happened to someone in an auto shop that was using a forklift as a car lift. So they have 15 days to contest, and as we always point out, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and all these fines get vacated, litigated, and rescinded, negotiated also. So they are not mentioning what this was, and again, it kind of like makes you wonder. I was perusing because the sites. Right? So one of the nice things about going to a class with people who you're not normally with is that you find out that there are different resources available in safety. I found out a safety agency that I had never heard of today with that. A part of the federal government. I was like, oh, that's really, and it handles offshore stuff on offshore platforms. They have a lot of good resources, and we're probably going to be there. So here is a report from California, the FACE program. All right, and apparently the fatality assessment and control. This came out a couple months ago. And on May 6th, a 66-year-old Hispanic male production worker at a poultry processing plant, the victim drowned when he fell into an open offal wastewater pit. Offal is a mixture of water and chicken organs and other waste products. He was preparing to do a preventative maintenance and cleaning areas surrounding the pit. A co-worker later found him inside the pit where he drowned. Even though HOS levels were not measured or monitored the day of the incident, the gas is often present at the poultry and meat plant. What are some of the contributing factors? The failure to develop and implement a HOS safety program. Are you listening to me, Sheldon Primus? No hazard assessment was conducted. Missing or unsecured floor grates protecting the offal wastewater pit, and damaged guardrails around the offal wastewater pit. California FACE investigators determined that in order to prevent similar incidents, poultry processing plants or wastewater treatment operations should develop and implement policies, procedures, and inspections as part of a safety program to prevent workers from being overexposed to H2S. Ensure the pits aren't identified as permit-required confined spaces, and a confined space program is implemented, and ensure all pumps and equipment in the pit room remain in operation so as there is wastewater flow through the pit. That's probably to make sure that nothing stagnates there. Ensure that pits are guarded, right? So we scroll down. Am I sharing this? I don't think so. We scroll down here and we determine all right, so this is the document here if you're on the video stream. Again, this is all open source. You know, you can use this on a for a safety meeting, for example. So what about this? At the time of the incident, the employer had an I2P2 program, which is required for all employers in California. The employer did not have any policies or procedures to perform in the offal wastewater pit room. Additionally, no H2S monitoring control or confined space entry procedures were developed or implemented. Training was conducted in English, Spanish, or Punjabi. I don't know where. I think that's Indian, Indian, right? The victim participated in several in-person safety training courses, including brief sessions on basic first aid, heat illness, bloodborne pathogens, forklift safety, emergency action plans, stress management and violence, hearing protection, and lift safety. There was no indication that the training included anything about the offal. The victim was blah, blah, blah. They give some demographic information here with this and irrelevant. And that's basically it. They have a nice, that's what we're looking at there on the picture. Right. And guardrails were missing, guardrails damaged, not repaired. It's a shame. That's one of the things here. So I found out about this on the CDC website, and there are different recommendations and everything else. And, you know, just very interesting stuff out there. So we're going to be using this. Here's the U.S. Chemical Safety Board releases a new video on investigation. This is from July 11th. Where is this new video anyway? It's on from Leiden Blaisdell in La Porte, Texas. Pretty interesting here. You know what? I might post the link. But anyway, that's all I have for tonight. So I want to thank everybody listening, bearing with me with some technical issues at the beginning. We're going to be editing this on the podcast then. On the video end, it came in late. I don't know what the issue was here. So, but as Jay Allen often says, this is an audio program, not any other program. So I want to thank everybody for their support. One other story here. No, that was that with that with the previous story, and that's what we have. Remove that. Okay. So that's what we got for tonight. That's our program. We're going to exit with our usual patriotic music at the end of the show. And I will see you tomorrow. We'll put on the outro, and then we're going to go with the flow here. Oh. Image with that. And
the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not